Hey everyone, welcome back. Today is the last session of encryption, and since you know we are explicitly discussing about the encryption on S3 buckets, and as you know, we have gone through server-side encryption managed by S3, keys managed by S3, then server-side encryption keys managed by the KMS, which is another AWS key management service. Today we are going to look into dual layer server side encryption, and here the cage again will be managed by the KMS. Okay, you can say D-SSE KMS. Let me sort of zoom in. So yeah, let's take a look at the introduction first. Introduction to D-SSE dash KMS. Two layers of protection. So what exactly happening here? We are going to have two layers of encryption layer
There
here.
is no screen visible.
Oh, sorry,
So
sorry, one second.
there is
I
no
forgot.
screen there.
Yeah, I
It's
forgot to
okay.
share the screen. Is it now? Pooja?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
It's good.
okay. Sorry, I forgot to share the screen. Okay, so we are going to have this type in D-SSE, as the name suggests, right? Dual layer. So we are going to have two layers of protection. Okay. First one is your data is going to be encrypted twice before being stored in S3. Okay. This means this means it is given two layers of security to protect it from unauthorized access. Okay. First layer, let's take a look at the two layers. The first layer of encryption is done by Amazon S3 itself using its own encryption keys. Okay, using its own encryption keys, the S3 managed keys will be used as the first layer. And what about the second layer? The second layer of encryption uses a key that you manage in AWS KMS. This key is more secure because you have control over it. Let's take a look where we can find out the D-SSE KMS enable option in the S3. I am switching to my S3 tab, and if I get into any of the bucket there, okay, let's get into this. And I think we have another one for let's get into this one. If I go to the properties section, scroll down, and there is default encryption, right? And default encryption is enabled, and here SSE S3 managed key is used for the encryption. If I click on edit, we have already discussed about server-side encryption with AWS KMS. When I select that, I have two options. One key is managed by the AWS itself, another one is by ourselves. Then this is the what we are discussing today right now. Dual layer server-side encryption with AWS key management service. And when I selected this option, just take a look guys. When I am selecting server-side encryption, I am getting two options. Simultaneously, when I am selecting this option, I am having the same scene. There is nothing change in my screen, right? So, which means, as it suggested, that the first layer is going to be used Amazon S3 managed keys. And in the second layer, you can choose any of the keys, right? From either from the AWS KMS keys, whatever available there, or if you have a custom your own managed key, then you can integrate it. So basically, this option, dual layer server side encryption, is an consolidation of this key and this key. Okay, right? Got the idea? Consolidation means we are going to use this key as well as this key. Why? Because we want to have additional layer of security, additional layer of encryption. Okay, that's why we are using both the keys. Now let's take a look at the slide along as well. Now the second layer. Okay, first layer is, you got it right. First layer is Amazon S3 managed keys will be used for the encryption. Then the second layer of encryption uses a key that you manage in AWS KMS. Okay, first one is S3 managed, then second one is AWS KMS managed key. This key is more secure because you have control over it. Okay, Now let's take a look why we are doing so. Okay, when we have already a method of AWS S3 managed key, then KMS managed key, then why there is dual layer encryption is needed. So what it is saying, FIPS stands for Federal Information Processing Standards. Okay, this is an body, or this is an organization in US which basically suggests the data security policies to the government. So these are guidelines issued by US government to ensure the security of computer systems, especially for federal agencies. Okay, so what they are saying, they have suggested this layer of encryption for federal agencies. FIPS covers various aspects of security, including encryption standards. Okay, so not only encryption method they are suggesting, they are also suggesting various other ways of security. Say encryption is out of them, or one of them. Okay, to enhance security, FIPS suggests using multiple layer of encryption. Right now, we just observe or we seen, right? I was first encrypting using AWS S3 managed keys. Then again, we are encrypting using AWS KMS managed keys. Okay. Multi-layer encryption means encrypting data multiple times using different keys or a encryption algorithm. Right? Different keys we use AWS S3 key, then AWS KMS key. So that's why That's why AWS started it. Since it is an suggestion from the government itself, or few of the organizers like FIPS suggested the government to use it as an enhanced layer of security. So AWS has integrated this one, and let's take a look at the second point. Committee of National Security Systems Policy 15. Okay, this is NSA's one kind of policy. The NSA, okay, National Security Advisors, CNSSP 15 policy integrate FIPS guidelines to ensure that national security systems use strong encryption standards. So this policy is already implemented by the US government. So that's why as AWS is expecting this thing is very strong, and this gives people the trust over them. So they also integrated or provided us this option in their S3. So D-SSE KMS is designed to meet these standards, providing a higher level of data protection required to compliance with regulations such as those set by the NSA. Okay. That is nothing new. So basically what exactly happening here, only we are using this time two keys for the encryption. One is AWS managed key, the first one, and then the second one is another one key from the KMS. Okay, if I choose this one, by default AWS S3 managed keys will be used first for encrypting, then again whatever encrypted, then after using one more key from the AWS SSE KMS, again we start encrypting that one. So that means we are encrypting the same data twice using two different keys. This is the third option, and here comes the last one, server side encryption with customer provided keys. Okay, this is the last method of encryption. And if you look at the point, this is fourth point, right? But if I visit the S3, you can see there are only three options available: server side encryption with AWS, dual layer server side encryption. Then from where we can implement that option? That option we have to implement from our end. Like we have to create our own key, we have to manage the key, and whenever we data need to be uploaded, any of the file we want to upload into S3, then first we encrypt that from our local. It may be an EC2 machine, it may be your local machine, or it may be from other any application place. From there, you need to encrypt that and then upload to the S3. And when you want to access the data, or if you want to read the file, then at the from the same location, you have to access it. Either you have to download or read using the same key. Make sure you always use the same key which you have used, and that key is going to be created by you. Don't worry, guys. Today we are going to have the lab session where I'll show you how you guys can create the key for yourself by your own. Okay, so let's first take a look at the theory. Okay, so this is the fourth one. This is the last method of encryption, server side encryption with customer provided key. So who is responsible for key here? The customer or the owner itself. There is nothing AWS is going to do here for you. Okay, let's take a look at the introduction first. Server-side encryption with customer-provided key, with popularly known as SSE-C in AWS S3 allows you to encrypt your data using your own encryption key. Okay, you are going to use your own encryption key. Then second point, how this thing works? Client-side key management. Okay, you manage and provide the encryption keys. What does mean? It means you are going to create the key, you are going to implement the key, you are going to upgrade the key, you are going to delete the key. Whatever needed to be applied along with the key is only you are responsible for that. AWS does not store the keys you provided. Even AWS is not going to store that key. Did you realize how much level of security you are going to have at this point? That complete thing is under your control. There is not a single involvement from AWS and in your key management process. Then second point, where data will be encrypted. When you upload data to an S3 bucket, you provide the encryption key. Okay, you are going to first provide the encryption key. S3 uses this key to encrypt the data before it storing. So you are going to create the key, then you will provide the key to the S3, then S3 will use that key to encrypt the data, then after that it will store that. And simultaneously encryption is if encryption is happening, then definitely we need to decrypt it. When you download data, when it will happen? When you download data, you provide the same key to decrypt the data. You are going to provide same key to decrypt the data. None other key will be used to decrypt. S3 uses the key to decrypt the data before sending it to you. Okay, before sending it to you, they will use. Hope this gives you an idea how this key is actually going to work. Now let's take a look our lab section, the step number 3, how to use or create the key by ourselves. Okay, what you need to do for this lab? You need to create a secure encryption key first. Okay, here I am going to show you how we can create a key for ourselves. Okay, then let's take a look. Second step, this key should be 256-bit or AES 256 encryption. We have already discussed in our first class of the encryption. AES 256 is the preferred algorithm for storing data or encrypting data which will be stored over the S3. So definitely we are going to have the same algorithm. To create secure encryption key, we can use OpenSSL. Okay, here comes a twist. What is this OpenSSL? So OpenSSL is an open source tool which will be used to create a key which you can use to encrypt the data. If you are doing or performing this thing from your local laptop, any Windows or Mac, you can download it from the internet. It is freely available. But here we are going to do it through the EC2. Why? Because EC2 already has an integrated OpenSSL service with itself. So I am not going to download there. I will create a EC2 and from there I will create the key. Okay, let's go ahead and start and creating an EC2. But if you make sure if you are doing it in your local laptop, then you need to download the OpenSSL from the Google. Let me get into the EC2. As you can see, right now I'm in my Mumbai region and I don't have any instances running. Let's go there and create one. Nothing running, nothing even stopped. Launch instance. I'm going to say it my key generator. Okay. AMI chosen. By default, I am going with AMI Linux. I am not going to make any changes to any of this configuration. Okay, key pair. Yeah, we need a key pair. I think we can create a new key pair. Key pair, I am going to use it as my name it DevOps 26 key pair. PEM file, create key pair, downloaded. Yeah, it is downloaded. Find that, open it somewhere. Okay, I can see it is in my downloads here. Let's minimize this now and keep here is chosen. Then with network settings, I am not going to touch anything. I am just making sure auto assign public IP is enabled. Why? Because I am going to log into this machine. Okay, and SSH anywhere. Okay, everything good. Let's launch the instance. We have to wait for a couple of seconds. This will take some time to be in running condition. Once this is up, then we'll start logging into this machine from my terminal. Okay, and then after that we will start executing the commands which I have listed here. Okay, now let's take a look at the fourth point. Here is the command to generate AES 256 key along with the MD5 hash. Okay, they are both of them needed. So the command to generate a SSL key is open SSL RND32. Okay, and here what I am doing, I am redirecting the generated key to a file which is named like this SSE-C.key. Okay, this command, this open SSL RND32 will generate the key, and then after that this arrow mark where I am saying write down or redirect that key value to this file SSE-C.key. Okay, once we have this file, then after that we will proceed. Now let's go ahead, take a look whether our machine is up. If it is up, I'll start logging into this. Okay, it is still in initializing mode. Let's take a look whether public IP is okay. Public IP is available. Let's copy this and go to your terminal. Let me see where I am right now. Okay, I need to move to downloads. Let's verify we have our PEM file here. Otherwise, what I can do, I can grab the path from there. Control C, go to terminal. I think I'm at the same way. C users downloads. Okay, then file name DevOps 26. Yeah, we have the file there. Okay, see, here is the file. I am going to use this file. So using this file this time, okay, let me first clear. Okay, I am going to use that file to log into my EC2 machine. So what is the command here I can use? We know that whenever we have to log into the EC2, we have to use the secure shell SSH minus I, okay, Then after that, we have to pass the file value. What is DevOps minus 26 dot pem. Then who
Example,
will be the
screen
user?
in stock.
EC2 minus user. Yeah, Durga.
Oh. Actually, the screen has a stock.
1 second, I need to share the whole window because I am doing not in the browser. Just a minute. I forgot to do one. Confirm me you are able to see my terminal now. You are seeing it, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay, so what
yes.
I am doing, I am passing it through the secure shell. So that's why I have first typed the SSH. This is the secure shell command. Then I am typing minus I. Then this is the file PEM file which I have used in my EC2. Okay, and this value I will be using to log into. Then EC2 user. This is the default user to log into. Then public IP of that EC2. Let's go there and grab their public IP. Here is the public IP value, and I grabbed and Control V, pasted, enter. Okay, now it is saying for the authentication, yes, enter. Okay, so right now I am where? I am not in my local laptop. I am in the EC2 machine. You can see, right? EC2 user. What is the IP address? It is showing 172.31.12.239. If you go there and see what is the private IP here, 172.31.12.239, right? So right now I am in my Linux machine. Let's switch to the root user. Okay, see, the user switched from EC2 user to root now. Okay, but in the same machine. Why I switch to root user? Because I am going to generate a key, and I believe that that's not possible for a normal user like EC2 user. That's why I switch to the admin. Okay, now let's go ahead and grab the command which I have already added in my documents. Here is the command. Already told you OpenSSL RND32 is going to generate the key. Then after I'm going to redirect that key value into a file which is SSE-C.key. Control C, copied. Now go to the terminal. Now let's take a look where we are. PWD in the root. Do we have anything? No. ls minus la, nothing. Only few of the hidden files, right? There is no file like SSE-C.key. Okay. Now let's do there. Let me clear the screen. Clear. ls, we don't have any file. Let me paste the command OpenSSL RND32. So what exactly we are doing here? We are going to create a key, okay, using the AES 256 algorithm, which will be used for our data encryption, and this is an customer managed key. Okay, OpenSSL RND32 will generate the key. Then it is this symbol. Okay, in Linux, this symbol redirects the this value, left side value, to the right side, and in right side we have added the file name SSE-C key, and I have already shown you by running the ls command there is no such file I am having right now. But after executing this command, you are able to see a file SSE-C key. Okay, let's execute. Enter. Now command executed, and if I run ls again, see, I have the file now. And if you want to view the content of the file, what we can do? Cat, right? Cat SSE, just tab, we have the file, and see, now whatever the content is available in this file, now this is completely in ASCII format. This is a ASCII format. It is not encrypted even. Okay, this is an ASCII formatted file. Now we are going to generate the key from out of this. We have to run the second command. Control C. I'll explain what exactly I'm doing here. Go there. Control V, paste. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I am creating a variable. The variable name is key. Okay, the variable name is key. And what exactly I am doing? I am saying the value whatever in this file, right? See, what is the command? Cat, then this value, right? So I am saying whatever value we have in the SSE-C.key file, just encode that with the base 64. Okay, the base 64 will be used to encode that one. So let's execute, and it will create a variable, not a file. Okay, and if you want to see the variable, you cannot see that by running an ls command. You need to echo that one. It's executed. Now if I want to show you, let's see first ls. See, there is nothing new, right? Why? Because it's not a file, it's a variable. And if you want to view a variable, then echo dollar e. Okay, this is the way how you can view the variable content. Now see, here is the encrypted file. Okay, again we have to enhance it more. Why? Because when we are going to upload the file or upload any or use this key, we need to have md5 binary along with that one. So I am going to create another one variable, key md5. Let's copy this, go to the terminal, clear, paste. Okay, now see what again I am doing this. I am creating another one variable, key md5. And what is its value? Its value, here I am saying SSE-C.key. What is the content in this file? Okay, make it or convert it to a MD5 binary using base 64 encoder. Okay, now let's go ahead, create. Now it is created. And if you want to view a citizen variable, what you have to do? Echo dollar, then key MD5, the variable name. Enter. This is the MD5 encoded variable. And if you want to see again the key variable only, echo dollar key. See, these are the two types of value. Okay, these are the two types of value. Why we generated this one? This binary will be used when we are going to upload the file into the S3 bucket. I will show you. Okay, so we have our key now. This is the first thing we created. Let me clear the screen and explain everything from start. So first what I did, I ran this command, right? I ran this command, OpenSSL RND32 SSE-C key. So what it did, it created this file sse.key. Then after that, I ran a variable command, key base encoder. Then after that, we verified the key variable created. Then after that, what we did, after that, we created key MD5. Okay, these three things are ready for us now. Okay, let's move to next step. Next step is what? We are going to upload a file, okay, from our this Linux machine to the S3 bucket. Okay, for that we need a file there, definitely, right? So what I'll do, I'm going to create a file here. Okay, we know that this is an internal notepad or text editor, we can say, in the Linux. Vim command, Vim, my file name is going to be my file. Okay, dot txt or simple my file, which file. Enter. Then we have to go to interactive mode, insert. Then this is a demo file to test encryption, and this time the encryption method is SSE-C. Okay, escape, save, exit. If you want to view the content of the file, cat my file. See, this is the content of the file. This is a demo file to test encryption, and the encryption method is SSE D-SSE. Okay. Now let's try to upload this file. When you are going to upload, I have already told you, right? All the services in, even though those are in the same AWS account, they are isolated, which means this is EC2 instance from where we are doing right now. This is in my same AWS account, right? If you take a look, this is the same Cloud Master main shop, and you are in the Mumbai region. And if I try to upload any file from this EC2 to, let's open the S3. Let's suppose we are going to target any of the, okay, let's try this one. Okay, if I try to upload to this bucket, do you think is it possible to easily access? No, right? Because I have already told you, EC2 is isolated, S3 is isolated, EC2 cannot communicate with the S3 directly. For that, we need either a IAM user or an IAM role. Okay, right now I'm not going to create any specific IAM user for this task, but I'll use my root user. Okay, so how I'm going to do, I'll create an security credentials. Why? Because in the terminal, in this terminal, we need to first run AWS configure, where it will ask us for few details. See, AWS access key ID it is asking, it is looking for. Then after it will look for AWS access secret key. From where I can get? I can get from here. If I go to my profile, go to security credential section, generate the keys. Okay, these are the few of the keys. Let me delete it first. After that, I will create one new more, deactivated, delete. Okay, deleted. Let's create a new one, create access key. I understand why it is saying, because I am creating in the root account. Create access key. Okay, this key always used when you try to access any resource programmatically. So here is my access key value. Let's copy this, go to terminal, paste the value, enter. Then see, it is again looking for secret access key. Here is the secret access key value. Copy it, go to terminal and paste it there, enter. Okay, default region, yes, let's go with AP South 1. Anything you can choose. Since my EC2 is in AP South 1 and bucket is also in the same region, I am choosing default as AP South 1. Enter. And a default output format JSON is file, or you can skip it. Okay. So we are good to communicate with our AWS S3 or with our any of the resources in the same account. If you want to verify, you can verify by running a simple command. Let's list out all the available buckets in our account AWS S3 ls. If I run this, see, it will show me the all the available buckets in my account. This is the list of buckets available in my account, right? Out of that, I want to upload the file into this bucket. For that, I have already prepared the command in my documents. Let's get into there. So here is the command: upload object using S3 CLI, AWS S3 CLI API. So what it is saying, what is the command? Let me copy it first and I'll explain it in detail there. To C, go to the terminal, clear the screen, Control V, paste it. Okay. See, here is the command. Let's go to the start beginning. From there, we will start understanding what is the command. So, what I'm saying, AWS. This means go ahead, use the AWS CLI. Okay. Here I am asking to use the AWS CLI with huge resource. Where it will target? It will target S3 API. Okay, and what action it will perform? Put object. That means it will try to upload a file. Okay, on which bucket? Okay, we need to modify the bucket name here. Okay, let me go there and start modifying the bucket name. Same goes with you. When you guys will perform the practical, definitely make sure you are changing the bucket name. So what is my bucket name? Let's go to S3, and here is my bucket name. Copy this, go to the terminal again, Control V, pasted. Okay, this is the bucket, and which key will be used? Okay, which key will be used? Sorry, this is the key means which file you want to upload. My file name is my file, right? That's why the key value will be my file. And body, make sure you always mention the body, otherwise it will not upload the whole content of that file. Okay, then SSE customer algorithm, which algorithm it will use? AES 256. Then SSE customer key, see here is the key variable, and then key MD5. Why? That's why I have created those two variables there. Okay, let's go ahead and enter that, but before that I'm showing you, see there is no files. Let me refresh the screen. There is no file still now in the encrypt bucket 01. Once I hit enter on the terminal, okay, what it is saying? Access denied. Why it is saying? Root is not authorized to perform S3 put object on resource. Okay, there is issue we are having. Let's take a look, because this bucket has blocked upload request that specified. Okay, we are encountering some issue with this. What I'll do, I'll create a new bucket. Okay, why we got issue there? Because if I show you, see what is the default encryption enabled here. That's why. What I can do, go to edit, completely disable. I think disable will not work. Okay, let's try to disable and test. Why, when I try to use the SSE customer managed key, if you see there is an option blocked encryption types. This was enabled. Okay, let me cancel and show you again. Scroll down and edit. See, this option is enabled. That's why it is not, I was not able to use that key. If I disable this, save changes. Let's now try. Excuse me. Let's now try in the terminal. Enter. Okay, see, our file successfully got uploaded. And if I go to the objects now, refresh, see, I have my file here, right? And if you want to view, let's open it. See, I am not able to view the file. Why? Because I am right now don't have handy with that key, the key which is used for this encryption method. Where that key is storing now? That key is storing in the EC2, so that you can only view this file from that EC2. Why? Because that key is residing in that EC2 machine. If you, even if you download the file, it will not also access denied show you. So now let's get and show you how you can read or fetch the file. Let's get into the EC2. Okay, let me go to the terminal, and successfully uploaded. I have verified you. Now see, if I run ls, I have my file here. Let me remove that file, because I am going to download and then after show you. Before removing, let me show you get what I have in my file. See, this is a demo file to test encryption SSE-C. Now I am going to remove my file, tab, enter, remove regular file system, enter, yes. Now let's run ls. Okay, 1 second, what happened? I think this removed did not work. Okay, let's run again ls. Okay, let me rm my file, enter, let me enter y, let's okay, let's run verify. Okay, that file removed. Okay, now our file is no more there. SSE-C key file is only present. Now I want to download. So how can we download? We need to use a CLI command for that. Let's get into our documents again. I have added the CLI command there too. Here is the download the object. This is the command. Let's copy it. See, go to terminal and paste, and let's modify the values there. First thing I am going to modify the box bucket, the bucket value from which bucket we are trying to download. The bucket name is encrypt bucket 01, right? Go to terminal, control V. Okay, then file name is same. Now see, I am using the same key values to decrypt. Key variable is there, then key empty. Now enter. Okay, now successfully it is downloaded. If I run clear, let's clear the screen, and after that run ls. Now see, I have my file. If you want to read the content of the file, get my file. Now see, you are able to. Why this thing possible here? Because we have that key in the same machine. If that key is placed in some other place and you are trying to read the file, then it won't be possible for you. Okay, and let's take a look our documents. Do you have anything? Okay, so with that's it. This is the lab which we successfully performed for the server side encryption with the customer managed key. One more thing, let me show you what is the situation in the S3 bucket in the encryption process. What it is showing. If even though I have downloaded, it is still available, right? Because I have only downloaded, I had not removed this one. If you want to delete this file, then you need to run a CLI command. Another one CLI command available for deleting. Go to the properties and bucket versioning, and you can see default encryption is enabled. Okay, uh, is enabled. Let's get to the object, my file, properties. Now see what it is saying. Server side encryption. AWS is not aware what is happening, but in the checksums what it is saying, object encrypted with SSE-C. Okay, what it is saying, server side encryption with customer managed key, this thing is configured. Okay, from there you can verify the thing. So with that said, we completed all the segments or all the options available under encryption in the S3 bucket. Okay, if you guys have any doubt or anything to ask, you can ask me right now, or you can after end of the class you can check the or go through this all session, then after that you guys can ping me in my WhatsApp for the doubt clearance. Okay, or we can have our next session tomorrow to discuss the doubts. So as encryption is okay, encryption is done. uh Let me first remove the things. Okay, cleanup is most important. Whenever you perform anything, make sure you are cleaning up the things. Don't make or don't uh, make things still there. I am making the bucket empty. Once bucket is empty, then after that encrypt bucket, this one, right? Let me delete. Okay, bucket removed now. Everything is cleaned up. Now let's terminate the EC2 as well. So our practical is done. So I don't need any more this EC2 be on hold. So I am going to log out of this EC2 machine. Then after that I will terminate. So for logout, you can directly run exit or logout, both of the works. Okay, I am going to use the exit command. Enter. Now it moved out of the root to the EC2 user. then again exit, it will move completely move out of the EC2 machine to my local terminal. Now see, connection was closed to that machine. And once this thing is done, let's minimize the terminal and let's go and terminate the EC2 machine instances. I don't want any EC2 be in running condition. This is very dangerous. Directly terminate. Okay, it will be terminated. So with that said, our whole encryption thing is covered. Okay, there is nothing else left to discuss over the encryption. Okay, now let's see what else we left on the S3 after the encryption. Uh, Let me check the. Okay, after server side encryption, we have one new concept, that is S3 public access. Okay, so encryption is done. Now let's take a look at a new scenario, new issue, and how this feature or what is going to happen with that feature. Now think about a scenario. Let me. Okay, this is terminated. Fine, closed. Let's close this tab. I'll delete it later. Now come back to S3. Okay, so let's assume a scenario. There is a file you have, and you want to share that file, or you want people to view or read that file. So what are the options you have? Okay, in cloud specifically, I'm asking you. I'm not allowing you to upload that file to the drive and share that through any other. No, I'm asking you, is there any option available in the S3? We can do that. Yes, there is an option available in S3. So where we can upload the file and our general people or publicly that file can be accessible. Let's get into any of the file to find out any. Do you have any file there? Okay, why this bucket is there? There is no sense of having this. I'm going to delete it. First, delete. Okay, so there is a policy file. Okay, let's perform the demo on this thing. Okay, so this is a PDF. Let's open it. Open. Now see, I have a policy composition. Okay, multiple policies are added there. And this is a PDF file which I want to share, or I want to avail this file publicly so that anyone can view this file. So how can we do that? We know that whenever we upload an object into a bucket, then after that we are going to have an object URL. Using that URL, anyone can access the file. Let's try take a look. I'm going to use incognito. Now see, it is saying access blocked or access denied. Then you can ask me, okay, Pritam, how is it possible? Because last time here, right? Here we are seeing the file. Why I am able to see here? Because this is the same session. This is why I have logged in here as root user, right? And this is the same session which I have used to view this file. But when I switch to incognito, that is completely in different session, right? There I have not logged in any verified user, which means this file is only available for the allowed people, or for the allowed uh, to whom I have granted the permission. Since you want to view that file publicly, it's not visible to you. Durga, if you want, you can verify. Let me ping you that file URL. If you want, you can verify. It will also not show you there. Can you verify and confirm back? Then here comes the question, how can we make it possible so that people can read my file, whatever I have stored in the S3 bucket? So that is the topic which we are going to discuss now. Okay. Now let me get into my documents. So what is this topic? This topic is about public access. Okay. How we can provide public access and what are the options we have, or what is the feature is enabled or by default available in the S3 for public access. First point is introduction, right? Public access means anyone on the internet can view or interact with the contents of your S3 bucket. Okay, that means anyone over the internet can access it easily through only a URL link. This can be useful for static website or sharing files, but it also poses a security risk if not managed carefully. Okay, so there is another one feature which we will be looking in very soon, that is static website hosting. It is a very useful feature in S3. Okay, if you want to perform that thing, then public access is mandatory. You need to have idea about how public access works. Okay, and that thing, this public access thing will be useful during our hosting static website stuff. Okay, but it also poses a security risk if not managed carefully. If you are not managing it carefully, that means it is highly risky since you are providing or availing your thing publicly over the internet for everyone. Okay, so there are two ways we have to grant public access. Okay, there are two ways. The first one is through the ACL, right? Add access control list and grant the publicly accessible thing there. Let's take a look. These are permissions associated with individual objects within your bucket. Okay. On object level, you can grant it. Example, an ACL might say allow public read access to this specific image file. Okay. In an ACL, you can say access, or you can say only read access provide to public on this specific file. Important note, ACLs are an older way, right? We have already discussed about this stuff, and are less flexible than bucket policies. AWS recommends using ACL bucket policies whenever possible. Let's take a look, or let's give it a try. Okay, I am in the Cloud Master Demo 2 bucket. We are going to implement the ACL on the file level or object level. Let's get into the file, and you can see some. Okay, I'm in the different tab permissions. Okay, see here is the ACL. Okay, it is completely grayed out now. Okay, it is completely grayed out. I cannot edit the thing here. What I have to do, I have to go back to on the bucket level. Go to permissions. There in the bucket owner enforced, ACL enabled. Okay, I acknowledge, bucket owner preferred, save changes. Now ACL is came up with edit option. Now let's go and edit it. Okay, when I start editing, what is my objective? To provide public access to the files or objects present in this bucket. Here is the everyone, right? So I am going to grant a list as well as read. Now let's acknowledge this, save changes. See what it is saying? You are not able to perform. Okay, this thing is not allowed here. Okay, why it is happening? So we will explain or discuss this thing. But during SEL implementation, we got blocked there. Now let's cancel. What else option we have? Go to documents again. Bucket policy. Second option is bucket policy. Yeah, we have one more option, bucket policy, and we can do that. Yeah, I'm damn sure we can do that there. These are JSON documents attached to your S3 bucket. Okay, these are JSON files. Don't think much about what is bucket policy, how this thing works. Just take a look. Okay, we will discuss everything in detail about the bucket policy. They define who can do what with your bucket and its contents. So here I have added or attached an simple bucket policy. Let's copy this. Control C, copy it. Now I can go to bucket. And okay, see here I have already few of the uh, bucket policy. Let's do a removal. Let's delete this. Why? Because I want to update the bucket policy with new permissions. Okay, now my bucket policy is completely removed. And if I go to edit and I'll start, I have already copied the value. What I'll do, simply paste. And what I need to do, I have to update my bucket ARN. Copy this ARN value and update it here. Okay, this thing updated. If you want, we can properly indent this thing because this is not looking good to me. Writing only code is not a great stuff. Also, sizing the code and it should look properly. Now see, it is looking great. Okay, now write one more space here. Okay, this is systematically adjusted. Now let's go ahead, save changes. And what I am saying in this bucket, what is allowed is three get object for home for everyone. That's why I put in wildcard there. Okay, now let's save changes. Now see, again I got blocked on the S3 bucket policy. I'm not allowed to perform that. Why it is happening? So is it not possible to grant everyone read-only access on my files, whatever I have stored in my bucket? Yes, it is completely possible. Then why I'm not able to do that? We are not able to do that because of this option. Block public access is enabled here. That's why. Okay. If you go ahead, see what are options available? Four options available. Block public access to buckets, objects, SEL, public access objects granted through any access control list, then bucket policy. Just policies. One more policy. These four options are not allowing us to implement any of the SEL permission there. If you want to implement, what we can do, you need to edit, disable this thing completely. Okay, let's first try what is this first option or these both options. These both options are almost similar, only a little bit difference between them. If I only enable this first option, that means what it is saying here, block public access to buckets and objects granted through new access control list. So it is not going to allow me to apply any new bucket ACL, but I am going to apply, I will be allowed to apply bucket policy. If I save changes here, confirmed, okay, I have allowed there. Now if you see, if I go to first implement the ACL, let's first try to implement the ACL, edit, list, read, save changes, it will block me. Okay, one second. Save changes. See, I was blocked. Why? Because that option I have enabled there. So that means when the first option is enabled or the first checkbox is selected, that means I cannot do or perform anything through the SCL. So what else available to me? I can perform through the bucket policy there. Let's go and try to implement the bucket policy now. From there, copy the policy, go to bucket, Control V, second, edit, V, pasted, just the bucket value, ARN, save changes. See, now I am completely fine with adding the bucket policy. And if you want to access the URL now, go to my incognito where I have tried previously. Here is the incognito. One second, guys. It's not able to. Not sure. Now let's try the object one more time. Copy the URL. Go to incognito. Control V. Enter. Now see, I am able to view the PDF file. Right now, from where I am getting the access? Through the bucket policy. Right? Why? Because the first option, the checkbox is enabled and I was not able to apply the SEL. Then I went with the bucket policy method. Then I am good with there. Let me close this for now. Okay. Now, let's get back to again the configuration properties. Sorry, in permissions, we have those all things. Permissions, I am going to remove, delete the policy, delete it. Okay, so don't we have or allowed to enable the ACL? Yes, we are allowed. Then how we can do? If I unbox it and then I'll go, now I'm going to check this too. That means I'm not going to use bucket policy. I can only use the ACL. Now save changes. Now if you expand it, see the bucket policy options are disabled and ACL is enabled. And if I try to add the bucket policy now, click edit, sorry, let me grab the policy again, copy bucket, paste the policy and update the ARN P, then save changes. Now see, it is not allowing me to add the bucket policy. Why? Because I have selected those two options right in the checkbox, but I would be able to do it through the SEL now. If I click on edit, list, read, and now I understand, acknowledge this, save changes. See, I'm completely allowed to grant permissions through the SEL. And let's check the access now. Get into the file, click on the URL, go to one more new incognito tab, Control V, enter. Now see, it is working properly. The same way it worked last time through the bucket policy. Same thing happening for the SEL. So this is the bucket policy stuff which we just checked. Now let's take our documentation. So what it is saying? Block public access, which was by default there enabled for four of the checkboxes. These settings provide a centralized way to block public access to your S3 buckets and objects, right? When all of the options were, all the checkboxes or four of them are enabled, that means the complete object or buckets are blocked there. AWS recommends enabling these settings to prevent accidental exposure of your data. Why? By chance there is any way or thread you are getting exposed to publicly or someone unwanted access get into your bucket. That's why AWS is recommended to disable that option or to mark it as on or check mark on all four of the options. You set block public access at two level. At two level we can do at account level setting, at a bucket level setting. Okay, block public access. You can configure block public access setting for your entire AWS account. This is the most secure option. Okay, also you can do it from the bucket level. Till now, whatever we did on the bucket level. If you see, I am doing in a bucket, right? In the permissions, I am doing it within the bucket right here. But where is the account level? If I go to Amazon S3 dashboard, now see there is option. Second, general files, access management, access points. See, here it is. Block public access setting for this account. By default, it is off. If you want for yourself, then you can on it from here. So that from here onwards, okay, from now onwards, whenever anyone creates any bucket, by default, it will be enabled on their bucket. They cannot remove that thing until unless someone did not manually remove this permission here in this account level setting. I'm not going to do it. Okay, let it be there like this. So, and the second one is bucket level, which we have discussed. Example, block public access is enabled at the account level. Okay, what it is saying, if something is blocked at the account level and it is disabled at the bucket level, so what will happen? I have already told you, at the higher level you have blocked someone, but at the below level you have allowed. So does that mean he is allowed? No, because you are blocking at the top level, so he cannot access the file or anything in the S3. So what are the four options? I have already show you through the practical the four options available there. Two are for the ACLs, two are for the bucket policies, and I have already performed the demo. You guys can check the documentation, or this is the theoretical. Same thing we are just explaining there. Okay. Then how can we make the bucket public? So to make the bucket public through a bucket policy, there are two ways you can perform through ACL. Since it is not recommended and AWS is also asking us to not to use anymore, we have only one option left, that is bucket policy. So how can we do that? We can attach a bucket policy like this. Okay, and where we can say in action get 3 get object, that means all the get operations is going to allowed on that bucket on all the files. And who is allowed? In principle, I am saying asterisk or wildcard, that means allow all everyone. Okay, and in the effect it is saying, right? And here towards the right, you guys can see what are the parameters or what are the arguments we have in a bucket policy. Version means what? Statement, effect, everything. Mhm. Okay, so with that said, we have also completely discussed about the bucket policy and we are completely finished this thing. If I go back there on my bucket properties, by default, sorry, permissions, by default, you can see four options are now available. I have only enabled two. That means I'm not granting the permission through the bucket policy. Here I am granting through the bucket policy. Again, this is not recommended until unless you don't have a specific use case. Okay. And most of the time during static website hosting, people uses this option. Okay. Save changes. I am repeating my change again. Done. Okay, my change is reverted, and if you try to access the URL again, it should not be see. It is not visible now. Access denied. Okay, with that said, we are about to end our session. Today we discussed or as well as ended or completed the encryption method where I explained the dual layer server side encryption, then another one server side encryption customer managed key, then after that how public access works and what is this thing, how we can provide or grant permission publicly to any of the object in our S3 bucket. Okay, if you guys have anything you can ask me. Or we can end this session for today. Let me stop sharing. Okay, Durga, you want to ask anything?
Yes.
Okay, just give me a minute. Let me stop recording.